Alright. Alright. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening to you, fellow future educator. By the way, I am the first speaker. I am Almar Itumanda, and we are going to begin talking about the Module 2, the GMRC, reaching out to others. By the way, we have our first activity, which is a human diversity bingo. So, paano ba ito laruin? By the way, this activity aims to discover other qualities of your groupmates that you may not have known for the past years that you have been together. So, how do we play this game? Number one, you must have your copy of Human Diversity Bingo. So later on, I will provide the copy of the Human Diversity Bingo. And then the next step is to, yes, talk with your group mates through group chat messenger, and then list the names that fit the characteristics. And then share what you have discovered about your group mates to the comment section in the G class. So this is how human diversity bingo looks like. Now, for example, the first box has a single parent. So yes, you have to communicate with your group mates. Who are those group mates that has a single parent? Then you have to list it. Number one, si ano. Number two, ganyan. Then, sleeps in a fetal position. Yung ganun ba? So, marami-rami ang pag-uusapan nyo dito because there are at least 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 25 characteristics that you need to talk about with your group mates. So, after that, you can send it to our G class. Okay, not in the group, in the main group chat in our messenger, but in G class. So I hope the instruction is very clear. I will provide this PPT later on. And then, without further ado, let's talk about lesson 1, making meaningful connections. So why do we make meaningful connections? All right, it makes really to have healthy relationship to others. What else? You can again comment or share your thoughts in the G class. Anyway, our objectives is first we have like at the end of this lecture, you should be able to value the diversity in the classroom by learning the different types of diversity. So, meron din bang iba't ibang klase ng diversity? Well, let's find out later on. Next, recognize the faulty assumptions about a diverse classroom. So, pag-uusapan natin yung mga myths or akala, di ba? Maraming namamatay sa maling akala. So, yes, we have to talk about those faulty assumptions. And last one, know the tips to promote equity and diversity in the classroom. So, yes, after all the knowledge that you will know, we will provide tips to promote equity or how to include despite the differences of our students. So yes, okay, observe this picture. What can you see? Lots of students, right? And probably those adults standing on the edge, or probably there are the teachers. So the question is, all right, can you read it? Okay, have you been in a classroom that has 30, okay, not 10, not 20, 30 to 40 learners or above or even more? Okay, probably wala pa kayong ELC today or in this SAM, or in your own experience, have you been in a classroom that has more than 430 learners or students? What have you observed? Do they act the same? Pare-pareho ba sila ng behavior? Why? So, there are at least 4 questions. I'm expecting that you are going to share your thoughts about these 4 questions here. So, yes, let's move on to the value of the diversity in the classroom. So, again, what is diversity? Diversity, according to University of Rhode Island, is the exploration and incorporation of these differences to enrich learning in our classroom. So, yes, simply speaking, though, diversity is the inclusivity despite of the differences of people or our students. So that is diversity. Now, there are different types of diversity in the classroom. Number 1, the personal characteristics. Ano ba yung mga personal characteristics ng isang tao? Number 1, age. Yes, that's also included in a personal characteristic. So, magkakaiba ang mga edad ng ating mga students. So, if you are teaching grade 1, probably the range of the age that you will encounter are 6 to 7 or 8, or maybe include 5 kasi merong iba na pinapa-enrollan nila yung mga students nila, mga anak nila. Next is, aside from age, we also have the gender. Of course, there is female students have different behavior with the male students. Mostly, it's not stereotyping. Ma-observe niyo talaga yan sa isang classroom na yung mga babae is more behave. But somehow meron din mga kiat or mga makukulit na mga students na babae. Anyway, again, female students are like, mga behave sila, no? And they are more composed with themselves, unlike this, the boys, no? Ang at mga ang kukulit talaga. Takbo dyan, takbo dito. Yes, those are the personal characteristics of when you are going to deal with the gender. Next is the morals. So, at some point, probably student A might think an action is good, even not. And then some other student will think it is not right because they believe it is wrong. So, magkaiba yung moralidad ng isang bata. Next. Okay, another example of personal characteristics is the attitude. Okay, some of them are very hyper, some of them are masusungit, some of them are very kind, hyper, what else? Some of them are very eager to study, some of them are lazy. So those are the differences when it comes to attitude or the personal characteristics of our students. Let's move on to to their background. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng background? Well, for example niyan is their culture. Their cultural background. What else? Language. Okay. So, it includes to the culture, right? So they have different language. Some of them have the same, has a different language, but somehow at some point, their words they are using the same kind of words. So those are, okay, meron pa pala, ethnicity, and then religion. Of course, diyan tayo magkakaiba. Religion. Now, by the way, the difference between ethnicity and culture, ethnicity is their identification from his or her ancestry. So, for example, like this one, Sobanan, Chuchu. Or for me, I am a Sobanan. I came from the the line of Sobanan ethnicity. And then, while the culture is the social phenomenon of a specific society. So that is differences between ethnicity and culture. So at that point, background pa lamang magkakaiba din tayo ng yes, identity. Number three, the cognitive aptitude. So itong pinoproblema ng mga teachers, no? Magkakaiba ang mga students ng yes, comprehension. Next, word fluency. Next, reasoning. And then, numerical ability. So, number one sa comprehension, no? Yes, some of them can read, but they don't have the same comprehension. Nababasa nila yung, like, nadidecode nila every letters. But, the understanding of every words, some of them are struggling with that kind of process. Yes, they can decode, but they don't understand the meaning of that word. Now, another is the numerical ability. It's more on logic, right? It's more on patterns. It's more on counting. And some of them are still struggling with that. Probably because the basic or the foundation of their numerical ability is not that good, right? For example, so skip counting or what is this? Identifying the numbers or the functions of every operations. Dun sila nagkakaiba because the foundation of their basic skills in mathematics are not the same, not that strong. That is why at the dadating sa point when they are in this higher grade level, they are not have the same ability. Next, reasoning. So, yes, again, it's logic. It's more understanding the situations, critical thinking. Now, when it comes to reasoning, a child might be able to, what do you call this, have the right reasoning. Depends on their critical thinking. Now, ang isang estudyante ay mahihirapan sa pagre-reasoning when they don't have much, when they are not that really good in critical thinking. Why? Why they are not good in critical thinking? Because, it is started with how they comprehend things. Yes, sharing insights, no, answering questions that is not just answerable by yes or no. Yes, you have to elaborate things and able to enhance your critical thinking skills. So that is why some of our students are not that good in reasoning. Another is word fluency. So the use of making words fluently are not present in every students that we encounter every day. So yes, that is the differences when it comes to cognitive aptitude. So moving on to number 4. Ito, the level of motivation. Okay, the first level is fear. Pag pumupunta yung mga estudyante sa isang lugar or specifically in the classroom, number 1 yan is fear. Nasa level pa nila yung takot na ay hindi ako familiar sa lugar na to, hindi ako familiar sa mga tao. That is the sign of fear. They don't have the capability to adjust because of fear. Number 2 is the level of motivation is more like tumataas when there is a reward. So ayan, ang mga future educators, reward has something to do with the motivation of our students. No? For example, a star. Star shows or a symbol of being, what do you call this? Active or being excellent in some kind of activity. So when you give reward, their level of motivations become higher. Next is to please. And then rules. So, and then empathy, and then personal code. So, yes, the first is fear, then reward, then to please, then the motivation, the level of motivation becomes more higher, one step higher than to please, because there are rules, and then motivation become higher when there is an empathy, and then motivation becomes at the highest level when they have their own personal code. So that is the level of motivation. At magkakaiba ang mga students dyan. They could be in the level 1, level 2, level 3, or level 4, 5, 6. So, expected na meron ding pagkakaiba ang mga bata when it comes motivation. Ayan. So, we're done with the diversity. Okay? What is a diversity again? It is often associated with inclusion. There will be no diversity when one or at least one student is being excluded, right? So there will be inclusion. Now, inclusion refers to a cultural and environmental belonging. Now, when a student doesn't feel like they feel not, what you call this, hindi sila napabilang sa isang grupo, like nafe-feel nila na na-outcast sila, then the process of inclusion is not being practiced. And when the practice of inclusion is the absence of inclusion, then there will be no diversity. So that is diversity. No? By the way, I'm going to share you a short story about a student teacher. So na ano ko to sa during high school days ko. There is a student teacher who's about to give her final demo. Ayun na, magde-demo na siya. And then he gave this activity tinatawag na message relay. Are you familiar with that? Yes, message relay. And then later on, there is some little commotion at the back. Yes, there's a little commotion at the back. Nag-iingay yung isang grupo. Nagtatalo. And then she came up to that certain group and then asked what is going on, what's the fuzz. And then the students, actually they are my classmates, and then later on my classmate told my the teacher, the student teacher na, "Ma'am, pwede bang hindi isali tong si ano, ganyan kasi hindi kami mananalo pag isasali siya." Na the student teacher asked, why she or why that guy shouldn't be included in the activity. Na, "Ma'am," sabi ng classmate ko, "Na, ma'am, hindi talaga kami mananalo, ma'am, kasi hindi siya nakakarinig." Alangan man isigaw namin yung answer. So, ayun, yun pala, yung classmate namin, meron siyang problema sa, yes, he have hearing impairment. And then, ayun, nagpanic na si student teacher. Hindi na niya alam kasi yung activity niya is nasa lesson plan na niya. Siguro, nahirapan siya na mag-decision or mag-decide. Alangan man i-change niya yung ano. Siguro sa panic, ang ginawa niya is in-exclude niya yung student. Pinaupo niya. And then yung grupo na lang, inalis niya yung certain student, yung particular na student. Tapos, ayan. Basta short story, hindi siya sinali. And then, nagpanic siguro yung student teacher. Tinitignan na siya ng mga observant na, tinitignan siya ng mga observant, bakit ganun? Ayun. So, why? Later na. So, ayun, in-exclude yung particular student, and then, yun ang nangyari. Hindi siya nakasali. So, what do you think is the problem with that? What do you think is the problem with that? Yes, there is no inclusion. No? Hindi inalam ni student teacher yung mga students nila. Probably because she didn't mingle with the students. No? How would she consider that appropriate? How would she consider that kind of activity appropriate to that student na merong hearing impairment? So, lesson of this okay, but the short story is to know your students well and able to create some alternative way para at some point din may include yung mga may differential or may mga special needs. So in that kind of way, you will implement diversity in the classroom. So yes, that is why we have to value the diversity in the classroom. So, moving on na tayo sa from valuing the diversity in the classroom to faulty assumptions that we need to be aware. So, these are the myths. Number 1, students are not diverse. Hindi ba magkakaiba ang mga students? Yeah, no, magkakaiba ang mga students. So, learners may have similarities, but this doesn't mean they're alike in all aspects. Just like what I made an example, mentioned a while ago, like, all of the students, sabihin natin, all of your students can read, but they don't have the same comprehension. That is an example of students are diverse. Number 2, diversity doesn't matter because everyone is diverse. Hindi na daw kailangan ng the process of diversity because magkakaiba naman talaga tayo, tanggapin na lang natin. No, that is a faulty assumption because we need diversity. Why? Diversity will not make hindrance. No, it will not hinder you as a teacher to deliver your lessons. As a matter of fact, it will create such it will add spice to your teaching, no? Because sabihin na natin, merong diversity sa classroom. Meron talaga diversity. So, are you familiar with differentiated instruction? Diba? Binabase natin ang mga activities natin or instructions natin according to their capabilities, to the capabilities of our students. So, some of our students know how to sing, so they will present their learnings, demonstrate their learnings through singing. Some of them know how to draw, some of them know how to dance. So, that's how diversity matters in teaching. Number 3, diversity does not have anything to do with learning. No. Diversity is in action inside the classroom. So, just like what I example a while ago, no? We use diversity as an opportunity to have more effective or to deliver our lessons more effective. So, ayan. Can you read this quote below? The teacher's openness to classroom diversity leads to positive outcomes. Can you read it again? The teacher's openness to classroom diversity leads to positive outcomes. Ilagay natin yan dito sa ating mga kokote. Okay. Now we all know about the significance of valuing diversity in the classroom and also the faulty assumptions about it. Here are the tips to promote equity and diversity in the classroom. Number 1, self-awareness. You have to be aware. Now, when you are aware about this diversity, then you are going to apply it to yourself. you are going to compromise. You are going to um, let your know let yourself know that there is difference, and you have to accept that yourself. Number two, get to know your learners. So how to get to know your learners? Probably talking to them during lunchtime or any vacant time, no? Especially the learners lower grades, kinder, grade 1, grade 2, they are very talkative. And at some point, ma aabot talaga na may malalaman ka sa pamilya nila. Ganyan sila ka-talkative. Mga lower grade students. They will share about their families, and then probably you will get some information why this kind of student behave this way. Kasi ganun pala, ganito sila sa bahay, ganito, ganyan. That is why knowing your learners are very important. It's very important. Number three, class norms. So, for example, niyan, you will create such rule of respecting your, like in your classroom rules. Respect your classmates and teachers. That is the class norms. Dapat kasi yung class norms natin is always on the positive side. Okay? So, ganun. Example na yung respecting your classmates. Number 4, culturally relevant teaching. So, ayan. Are you familiar with DepEd Memorandum number 33, Section 2017? Also, DepEd Memorandum number 47, Section 2016? If not, well, simply speaking, those DepEd Memorandum are talking about or telling the teachers to integrate culture-based context into our lesson plans. No? In all subjects yan, walang exclude. Dapat all 8 subjects, including the mother tongue. No? It should always be cultural relevant and able to know deeper, or to create a conversation, open a portal of conversation na matatalk natin yung about sa culture nila, or being a Filipino, no? For example, sa araling sa edukasyon sa pagpapakatao, no? Merong topic doon na respect the elders. At some point, alam kong na topic na yan sa education, values education, or ESP. So, ayun. How will you integrate culture-based context in ESP? Anyone? Can you share down the comment section? Okay. For example, yun, respect the elders. So how will can you give an example of that? Well, number 1 is the Filipino culture. The way the young ones mano on the elders, are blessed, no? Mano po lola, mano po lolo. Those are example of what? Yes, a culture, Filipino culture in respecting the elders. Ayun. So, again, culturally relevant teaching. Number 5, purposeful planning. So, saan ba yan mangyayari? In the process of making a lesson plan. So, sa lesson planning pa lamang, doon pa lamang tayo mag-start. I-analyze natin yung content ng ating lessons, ano bang i-include natin at dapat hindi include, enable to be more appropriate and be sensitive to our student. So, everything in our lesson plan is very important. That is why you have to analyze it very well, like carefully, and always have a purpose, no? Or a purpose that will help you to gain or to achieve your objectives. So that is purposeful planning. Next is meet diverse learning needs. Paano ba natin i-meet yung mga needs ng iba't ibang klase ng estudyante. Well, use different strategies. Like I said a while ago, differentiated instructions. This is not just para for the sake of maiba. This is to achieve our objectives, even they have different activities. No, despite the different activities, you will still achieve your objective of your lesson. So again, use different strategies. Next, meron pa pala, community involvement. Now, simply speaking, you have to expose your students in different kind of people. It could be their parents, their family members, and the others, like the community members, no, who have special needs or differences. So magkakaiba naman tayo, 'di ba? And you creating such relationship with the community will really help us to expose our students in about the life beyond the classroom, no? Kasi isang estudyante, mostly nagre-revolve lang yung mundo nila sa ano. Hindi lang dapat nagre-revolve yung mundo nila sa iisang lugar o sa classroom. But you really have to make them explore, think outside the box. Hindi lang sila i-box natin, no? Hindi lang sila i-box na ito lang dapat. No, they have to be exposed. Paulit-ulit na lang. They have to be exposed in the outside world and able to to enhance their skills, especially in socializing and also creating such relationship to others. What else? Critical thinking, no? Because they might encounter something different na hindi nila pinapractice sa kanilang sarili. So yes, you have to expose. Okay, I think that would be all. So I hope you guys learned something about the lesson 1 of module 2, the GMRC, reaching out to others. So don't forget about the human diversity bingo, okay? At least 5 of them, no? And also the question of have you been in a classroom? You have to answer it. And yes, I think that'll be all. Thank you very much. This has been Mel Marie Tumanda. It's 32 minutes. Yes, that's it. Bye-bye.